folks, so today I'm going to show you how I animated Comet Atlas. And there's probably a million and one ways to do it, but I'm going to show you the way I do it. And if you can think of better ways, I'm all ears. Let me know in the comments. And let's get started. Okay, so this is part one, and I've already captured my data. I'm going to use the data from April 3, and I captured on that night a bunch of 30-second exposures. So the first thing I need to do is stack the data, and you can either use Deepsky Stacker or you can use PixInsight. And if you use PixInsight, you can use batch pre-processing. You can use the registered files after batch pre-processing runs, and the data will already be aligned, and you can take it from there. And I have a video on how to do that. I'll put the link in the upper right for you. But for tonight, I was thinking of doing something different. I'm going to use Deepsky Stacker, and that's because, let me show you something here. My 30-second exposures, I thought the data was coming out, or at least I thought the comet was coming out rather faint. And so I thought, why don't I try something different? Instead of trying to animate 30-second exposures, why don't I stack them 3 at a time and animate those? So instead of 30-second exposures, I'm running an animation where the frames are 90 seconds each. And let me show you the difference between, this is a 30-second exposure, and this is a 90-second exposure on the right. And you can see the difference here, 30 seconds versus a 90-second exposure. So this is what I'd rather be animating here. So let me show you how I did this. Okay, so this might be rather painstaking because I'm going to be stacking 3 at a time instead of stacking them all at once and using registered files in PixInsight. And by the way, I guess I could have used PixInsight for this exercise as well, but I'm just using Deepsky Stacker this time. So what I'm going to do is I want to stack 3 at a time. So let's just take the first 3. And let's open up my bias files. I have bias there. And my flat frames. It says CLS, but really I'm using an Optolong L Pro. It's just what SGP did. So, and so I've got, let me do a check all. So now I've got 3 light frames. I have 50 flat frames. Oh, I have 200 bias files. I'm not going to use darks. I don't have any in my library. I have 15-second darks. I have 1-minute darks, but I don't have any 30 seconds. So I'm just going to have to skip darks. Oh, well. So let's see. I'm going to click register. Register. I've already gone through this exercise, so I'm going to say I'm not going to register them again. And this will probably be unchecked for you anyway, since you won't have registered them anyway. So, but if you want to re-register, you can just check that. It doesn't really matter. It'll just take longer if you re-register. But let's see. I'm going to click OK. It'll warn me that there's no darks. That's fine. And okay, it's after you've gone through this one time, it won't go through this part again. You can just keep stacking 3 at a time. So I'm going to come back when this part's done. Okay, so Deepsky Stacker finished, and I would save this to a folder that I've already called Comet. And you can see I would call it, I'll call this file Comet 1. And you can see I've already been through this exercise, so I have Comet 1, Comet 2. So that's what I would do. I would click the Save As and just save it. But then after I save it, I would go back into Open Files, and then I would remove my light frames 1, 2, and 3. Let's remove from list. Open up. I know you think I'm crazy for doing this. And I would stack the next 3, 4, 5, and 6. Open those up. Check all. Register. And I would go through this again and quit when I get tired. So here are all the groups of files I stacked. Each one of these is in order in groups of 3 raw images at a time. So now instead of 30-second exposures, they're all 90 seconds each. And I think a lot of people definitely will not go that route because it is a time-consuming thing. But you know what? I have time. So anyway, so let's go on to the next step here. Let's open up PixInsight here. And I want to show you what the data looks like so far for these. So what I'm going to do is let's go into Blink and take a look at that data. Let's open up my, where is it? Okay, so let's open up, let's see, sometimes Blink puts them in the wrong, puts them in a weird order. So I'm going to open up the first 9. If I don't do it like this, I know it's going to scramble them out of order. All right, so now I'm going to open up the rest of them. Here are my files. So let's just zoom in. And let's see how this looks if I just scroll through them. So you can see the comet moving. And a lot of people will actually stop right here because you can actually click the play button in Blink. And you can see it go, and you can slow it down. I think this will slow it down a bit. You don't have that much control over it. Excuse me. But it does work, and I think the newer version of PixInsight even has a save where you can save this animation. So that's one way to do it. I don't do it like that. I mean, they would probably at least align it first and then use Blink to save their animation. But I like to have a little more control into how it's processed. So I'm going to show you my way. So let's stop this. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, as you could see in Blink, it wasn't lined up because they were stacked in groups of 3, so nothing was aligned. So I need to align up the data so I get a smooth, when it comes time for animating, it will be very smooth. So I'm going to add files. Here's all my groups of 3. Let's see, I'm going to say file. I'll just pick the first one here as a reference image. I need to pick an output file. And let's call it steps. Let's make a new steps folder here because I already went through this. Let's call this steps 2. And we'll call this folder 1. The first thing we need to do is align. I know I didn't spell that right. Is that how you spell align? I'm having a brain fart here. A-L-I-G-N. I think that's right. Okay. All right. So I've got all my files, and let's align them. Okay, you can see the align has finished doing everything. And now I want to, let's open up one of the files in Align, in the Align folder. And I moved my face to the other side because you're going to need to see some stuff I'm doing in the bottom left. So, all right, so let's do an STF on this. All right, well, we don't need this. Let's do a crop. Decrop. So the comet's really small. We don't need all that extra stuff around the comet. Is that enough? Let's see. Yeah, I think that's fine. That's a good crop. And now I want to do one more thing here. So I want to do a mirror flip because my RASA flips the image, so everything's facing the wrong way. So I got to do a mirror flip. All right. And now, so that's the crop I want, that's the flip I want. Now I'm going to do this to all of the data in batch, so I don't have to do them one at a time. So let's open up the process container. And I want to add the crop and the flip I just did. So I'm going to open up the file. I clicked on History Explorer. And I'm going to open up the file I was just working on. There's the crop, and fast rotation is actually the flip I just did. Now I'm going to right click on the background and I'm going to open up the image container. The image container will now, I'll select all of the files I want to do this crop and flip on, which is all of them in a line. And the file that I did this to is also in this group, and it doesn't matter because I didn't actually save that one. So, all right. Now I can't just drag this process container over to the image container. It's kind of weird how this works, but I have to drag the image container over to the background. I can't do that yet because I forgot to do a few things. Even though I added all of the files, I need to pick an output folder. I don't want to put them in the same folder. So let's call this new file crop and flip, whatever I did to it. Okay. All right. Oh, and this line here, output template. This is the name of the files. I don't want the date and time in the file. I don't like long file names. All right. So now I can just drag this to the background. So these are all the files I'm working with. I can close that. And I'm going to drag this process container over to the image container. And now I'm updating all of those files with the crop and the flip like magic. So I don't have to do them one at a time. That's how you do stuff in batch. And I've shown this before in other videos, but in case you haven't seen it, it comes in handy sometimes, especially for animations. And I'll be back. Okay, so the crop and the flip finished. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy all of this data here to a new folder, and I'm going to call this Histogram. Because right now, if we were to view this data, if we had saved it as a JPEG, if we were to view this data, it would look all black. You wouldn't see anything, and that's because the data is still in linear form. We have to make it non-linear. And you're going to hate me for this, but this part is manual, and that's kind of by choice. I found a way that there is a way you can do this through batch. You can run a linear fit on all of the data and then run the same histogram on all of the data in batch to make it nonlinear or visible, but I don't like running a histogram on all the same data never looks right to me. It seems to fade out my data. It seems I lose data when I do that, and I don't like it. So let me show you what I do for this manual part. And after this part, then we can go back to automating the rest of it. I like to open up 10 files at a time. And once you get into a rhythm, it's not that bad. So I'm going to open up STF. I'm going to open up the histogram, and I'm going to open up ABE. So what I like to do now is I'm going to run the STF. I'm going to drag the STF over to the histogram to make it nonlinear. I'm going to execute the histogram, and then I'm going to reset the STF. And now if I were to save this as a JPEG, it would be visible. And then for the automatic background extraction, I'll just I'll choose subtraction. I'll discard the background. I'm going to say replace target image, and I'm going to execute that. And then I would just hit Control S to save it. And then watch how fast you can actually do this. So I'm going to close that one. Then you would just say STF, histogram, execute, reset it, automatic background, Control S, and that's how fast you can update a single file. Like I said, if I were to run this through batch, everything would be it just wouldn't look right. I tried. If you know of a way to get consistent results without losing data, let me know. And by the way, to convert it to nonlinear, this is not something I would do if I'm processing deep sky nebulas. I wouldn't do it like this. They say when you when you stretch it like this by using the STF over to the histogram, you're actually stretching the noise as well. And I don't really use automatic background extraction either. I like to use dynamic background extraction. But for comets and planetary objects and things in our solar system, I think that's okay, especially when you're doing animations. Animations hide a lot of issues. So that's how I would make it nonlinear. And like I said, if you go through those steps, you can get through it pretty quickly. Okay, I finished converting everything to nonlinear, and let's open up one of the files. I just took the data I had worked on before because I didn't want to go through all those steps again. So let's see, I'll open up one. So this may have a different crop because it's my other set of data. But now let's see, what do we want to do with this data? Do we want to make the background, all this is going to be through batch, by the way. Do we want to make the background darker, the comet brighter? Do you want to denoise it a bit? Let's see, let's open up curves. The thing about curves is if I click on the background, you can see on the line here where that part is showing up. You see that? All in that general area. It's all in that general area. So okay, right about there. So we'll go here. Let's click make a dot there. I'm going to click on the line there. Now let's click on the comet. I zoomed in on it. Now where's the comet showing up? Right about there on the line. So we want to make the comet brighter. So the comet is showing up right about there on the line. So let's see now. The background is right about here. So let's bring down the background and make that darker. Let's make the comet brighter if we can. You see the comet getting brighter? How's that? All right, let's close that and let's apply it to our image. Let's execute it. All right. So how's that looking? All right, let's close this for now. Let's do denoise. This is multi-linear transform. I've already got some values in there, but let's lower them. Let's drag that over. Let's drag that one down. I don't want to apply too much denoise, you know. There's lots of ways to do denoise. This is just one of them. All right, how do you think that looks? That's pretty good. Good enough. Let's see how the original looked. That's the original. We'll drag that over here. Now let's you can do whatever you want. Now I'll just go with this for now. All right. Now let's go back and run this. Let's open up the process container. My face is probably blocking it again, but you've already seen me do this earlier, so it doesn't matter. Okay, I'm going to open up the History Explorer. Can I move this over? No, I can't. And Comet, I'm going to drag over the curves I just did, the multi-linear transform. Okay, now let's open up the image container. Add our files from the histogram. Let's create an output folder. We'll call it process. All right, let's get rid of the timestamp. And you know what? Let's just make the extension JPEG, something that's easy to see when we can just go into Explorer here. All right. Let's see, process. There's our files. There's our Comet. We could have made it darker. You can process it any way you want. And I'll come back when these are done. Okay, so it finished processing, and I took my face off the screen because you need to see probably all four corners of what I'm going to do next. But here, this is all my data processed, and you can see if I scroll through these one at a time, there's the comet moving, and you'll see some bad frames. There's a satellite, and you'll see other frames where the picture seems to get darker like that, and then bright. That's because I'm going through a power line, so it goes from dark to bright, and you can fix these individually, or you can just delete bad frames, whatever you want to do. But I'm going to keep them all for now. And what I'm going to do next is now I can either animate it using PIP software, which is free, and I'll put a video link in the upper right here so you can see how to do that. I have another video for that. Or you can use, I like to use this movie software the same software I use to make YouTube videos. It's called Move AVI. And let me show you how that works, because I think I like that software better because sometimes PIP creates choppy animations. I'm not a big fan of PIP. It's good for some stuff, but I think animations come out better in my movie software. I think I paid $29.99 for it years ago. I have no idea what it costs now. Now let me add all of the files. So here's all the files. I'll just hit Control A. All right, so I'm going to double click on the first one here, and you can see each file had the duration of 4 seconds, and that's way too long because the animation would take 2.5 minutes to finish. So I'm going to highlight all of the files with Control A, and I'm going to make this 0.6, 4.06. I'm going to remove the 4 down to 0. So each frame is now going to run, let's see, come on. Sometimes this doesn't work so well. Control A, now see it left 1 in there. I still have the 0.06. Sometimes you got to go back down. Okay, now, so the whole animation now is going to run in 3.3 seconds. And let's hit play. This is just a temporary of what it would look like. That looks pretty good. All right. And you can do all sorts of movie editing in this software. What I would do next is I would just hit high quality, hit start. Oh, let's see, where is it going to save it to? I already have a folder. Oh, let me call that movie. I think I spelled it wrong there. Select folder, start. Yes, overwrite whatever's in there. Okay, just finished it. And there is my animation. And I would probably crop it more to get in closer, or you can do special movie effects too. For example, I'll show you one special effect you can do with this software. Oops. Where am I? All right, so let me delete all of this. Let's start fresh again. So now let me go to the movie I just created. See if I hit play, you can see now, watch this. I can hit this button here and I can do zoom in. If I hit zoom in and I hit add, watch this. Now it'll let me zoom in and I'll stretch it from the beginning to the end. Now if I hit play, see that? How it zooms in? Kind of cool. Anyway, that's how I animated the comet. I hope I didn't bore you. I don't know how long this video is going to turn out to be, but that's all I got, folks, and I will see you later.